Hello there. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has written a letter to every household telling us things will get worse, so stay at home. Firstly, as ever, please boost my channel by giving this video a big fat like. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back here every day. So, when the mail plops onto the doormat over the next couple of days, we can all expect to receive a letter from the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. And that, of course, all depends on whether or not there are sufficient numbers of posties available for the job in your area. So the snail mail message may not be as viral as the unmentionable problem itself is. And the letter, accompanied by a leaflet on the rules we must follow and the help that is available, will hammer home the message that we must save ourselves and the NHS by staying at home. A copy of the missive has helpfully been published on social media by Number 10. And it basically says that the government is issuing one simple instruction. We must stay at home to ensure the NHS isn't swamped by a spike in cases, which could lead to unnecessary deaths. And in the letter, Boris says, "I understand completely the difficulties this disruption has caused your lives, businesses and jobs, but the action we have taken is absolutely necessary." And he also writes that, "It's important for me to level with you. We know things will get worse before they get better. But we are making the right preparations, and the more we all follow the rules, the fewer lives will be lost and the sooner we can return to normal." What he means by normal after all of this is over, I'm not sure. After all, the last time a Prime Minister sent out a letter to the nation, it was to tell us all that the European Union was wonderful. And that led to nearly 4 years of political turmoil, which is still with us, albeit massively overshadowed by current events. And there is also the matter of the sweeping powers that the government and its arms of enforcement now have. As the letter points out, these rules must be observed. So if people break the rules, the police will issue fines and disperse gatherings. And many people are already asking the question of whether all gatherings will be dispersed and fines issued, if you understand what I'm getting at. Because the people won't take kindly to seeing some get away with it. And as to fines, some people have little enough money to buy food for their kids right now, so I hope this is being factored in. And will these fines appear on any criminal records after all this is over? The world we know has changed beyond all recognition. Our civil liberties have been removed, and we now live under total government control. Don't doubt that for a moment. The government has imposed the mother of all curfews on us. Now, these almost unrestricted powers could be with us, under recently passed laws, for up to the next 2 years. And in my experience, people adapt and grow used to restrictions as time goes on, and this could happen quite quickly. And that is a real danger to our civil liberties, because the powers that be also get used to exercising those powers. When this eventually ends, they could find it hard to readjust back into what we would have called normal a month ago, and some will be very loath to give those powers up. Some will want a new normal that includes the retention of some of those powers. All very tempting for the executive to try and keep a few in their back pocket, maybe. A worrying prospect indeed, so it's good to see that the Act of Parliament governing all of this appears to be very tightly worded so that any restrictions imposed cannot be extended outside of a public health response period. Now, we have a concept in the UK called policing by consent, and these new laws giving our police officers so much power potentially stretches that concept to breaking point. So there must always be in the backs of the minds of the upper echelons of the police and government the belief, not that things will return to normal, but more that they must return to normal. And one helpful point is that the police will no doubt be aware that after all this ends, they themselves will have to live within the very community over which they so recently wielded such great power. At the end of the day, the people must regain their freedoms as quickly as possible and then exercise them to the fullest extent. Use them or lose them is the old adage on this sort of thing. Another positive is that the polls are showing that Boris has the full backing of the vast majority of the UK public. And the Tories themselves as a party have now surged to 54% in the polls. An unprecedented level of support at any time, and no mean feat when you consider the whole place is in lockdown and the UK economy is tanking. But how sustainable is this? Boris himself says that we'll only get one go at a lockdown and it will have to be effective. There will be no second chances. And you only have to look at Italy to see what can happen when you get it even a bit wrong. The people of Italy appear to be at breaking point with this. Their money is running out and Sky reports police descend on a supermarket after reports people have stolen food to feed themselves as patience turns to desperation. And videos have emerged of desperate people in Italy begging for help because they have run out of money and food. It is an understatement to say that this is not good, and I'm sure that our government are monitoring this very carefully. So if we are personally able to, we must all do our bit to help make sure this does not happen in the UK. And maybe for the healthy, that should extend beyond washing your hands and staying at home. And for those that can, a few quid into a local disaster fund you trust or some tins into a food bank might not go amiss. You never know, it might then become a habit for a better world tomorrow. Sorry for the doom and gloom, but this situation we found ourselves in cannot be sugar-coated. And if I were to attempt to do so, I would be doing you a huge disservice. We are where we are, and it's in uncharted waters. But I must agree with the Prime Minister when he says it is with that great British spirit that we will win through, and we will beat it together. We need, where we can, to re-engage with our neighbours and communities, but that will prove problematic in the context of maintaining a physical distance, which is why this lockdown cannot last for any real protracted period of time. Otherwise, the cure could well be worse than the illness itself. People will only remain compliant with food in their bellies, and many in this country live week to week, hand to mouth, and many of these people also face little to no support coming out of number 11 Downing Street. But to save ourselves, we must nurture the NHS and not lump a surge of demand onto it. That does mean a long period of lockdown, which for those without money and no way of earning any will be an impossible task. So to avoid an Italian situation developing here, more money needs to be made available to be given to those desperate people applying for state help, but either not qualifying at all or only qualifying for this meagre 94 quid a week. Surely it's the right and proper thing to do. We do not need them to be faced with a binary choice of either them or their family starving or them breaking the law in some way, do we? Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it. So what do you think? Please share and comment, and Thank you for watching.